who is the president of Miva, who is going to take us through the next spell. Hope you're sitting comfortably. Let the games begin.
Morning, everybody. Doug, am I up? Yep, there I go. That was funny. That whole Irish funny thing is true, huh? Morning, everybody. How you guys doing? Thanks for being here. How many of you, this is your first MivaCon? Oh, nice. Well, that's exciting. Well, for those of you who don't know, our CEO is a gentleman named Russ Carroll, and Russ and I run the company together. And if you had to put an analogy to it, we're kind of like Penn and Teller. And I'll let you guess which one I am. And so over the weekend, I got a text from Russ that I'll let you guys read here for a second. It's pretty self-explanatory. And he was a little worried that I might make some jokes, that I can't keep my mouth shut, and that I might pontificate about the chaos that is the 2016 election series. And then a gift from heaven happened yesterday. So in case you want to know who Miva supports for president, Murray 2016, baby. So without further ado, and before I jump into the rest of my presentation, we have a new video we'd like to present to you that I think does a really great job of explaining who Miva is, what the vibe of the company is, and where we're heading.
Your customers require a lightning-fast, seamless online shopping experience, anytime, anywhere, and on any device. But a fantastic e-commerce site is more than just a shelf to hang your products on and a method for processing payments. You want a site that delivers thriving growth, speaks to a global audience, and is a confident, dynamic expression of your brand. Sure, you're an ace at processing 5, 25, even 100 orders a day, but why stop there? What if you could attract, convert, and process so many orders so efficiently that you had the freedom to actually steer your business instead of always playing catch-up? It's time to imagine your business on a whole new scale. All you need are the right tools to support you in your growing business. Miva is a leading-edge e-commerce platform that is fully accessible for up-and-coming smaller businesses with the power and sophistication that a large-scale modern enterprise demands. Since 1997, we've helped successful online merchants like you process more than $100 billion in online sales. It's an incredibly versatile, powerfully stable, and brilliantly supported platform, completely customizable to the unique needs of every business, with core integration for every other system your business is built on. We are ready to help you build a gorgeous, modern e-commerce website with a dazzlingly creative user experience and rock-solid architecture, while easily automating the things that make online selling more efficient, such as order processing, fulfillment, multi-channel marketplace inventory, and customer relationship management. The result? Efficiency, profit, growth, and the freedom to dream even bigger. This isn't just good business, it's a revolution. Welcome to Miva.
"2015 was a year for us of incredible growth. We hit a number of milestones. We have 100 employees for the first time in the history of the company. By the way, we've done that privately funded while making money. It's a lot harder to do it that way. And when we started this thing in 1997, you couldn't even really fathom what we have today. 1997, there was about 6 people. I wasn't even on the team yet. I showed up in 1999. And here's what Miva looked like back in 1997. How many of you had that actual laptop? See, you just aged yourself. Anyone under 40 is like, what the frick is that thing? But we're here to talk about 2016 and where we're heading. And most of you should be familiar with what Miva looks like today. Not quite the same thing. Our focus is to build scalable tools for online business success. Ultimately, with customizable themes that give you complete control of the underlying process so that you can either work out of the box or build your dream. Strong, reliable order processing so you can run your business, streamlining your back-end operations, ultimately selling through as many channels as you can. You need to be where your customers are, and management of customer needs, data, CRM, sales processing, etc. We are the only platform that is both a small business capable platform with enterprise level features and flexibility. Fully customizable B2B and B2C user experiences. How many of you sell business to business? A third, 40% of the room. How many of you have tried selling business to business on another platform? And tried having unique pricing for a different customer, treating me differently than I might treat Keith? It's almost impossible. A merchandising and promotion engine that's designed to work for both B2C and B2B, intuitive management and workflows, flexible template language that lets you have the power of an open source platform with the stability, security, and upgradability ultimately of a SaaS platform, and ultimately seamless integration to back-end systems. So we had a huge year in 2015. Not only did we hit 100 employees, but we also released more features than we've ever released in the history of the company. Here's a little graphic of some of the top features. We added wish lists, business accounts for running CRM, gift certificates, customer credit, split payment, the new URI management tool, payment rules, and a customer address book. All of that setting a stage for what you're going to see coming this year and next. Ultimately, after all this hard work, we've seen some nice recognition. We were on the Inc. 5000 for 3 years running, 2 years in a row, San Diego Union Tribune and Best Places to Work in San Diego, which of all the awards we've gotten is the one I'm most proud of. G2 Crowd top-rated e-commerce platform. It's funny. You'll notice 2 of these are G2 Crowd and Trust Radius, and they are user-generated review sites. And on both of those sites, we are either the top or we're pegging the top. And then you go read something like top 10 reviews, and I'm pretty sure they haven't looked at Miva since 1997. But because I won't pay $5,000 a month to be ranked number 1, we get trashed. And that's the sad truth of the world we live in there when it comes to the review sites for software today. But we are very proud of the fact that the user-generated review sites, we dominate. Built With, which we'll look at in a second, shows the true expanse of Miva into the enterprise market. And one thing we're very proud of is on Cyber Monday this year, we had 3 times our normal traffic and sales and no system-wide downtime. 2015 was a huge year for changes in e-commerce. So here's our Built With slide. Yeah, there's 43% of enterprise sites are using other, being non-classified, but Miva as a platform has the single largest share of enterprise e-commerce sites on the market today. One thing that we've seen in 2015 and now coming into 2016 is e-commerce platforms have realized venture capitalists won't let them lose money forever. I kind of have been saying that for a while, but people thought I was crazy. You'd be like, well, don't you have to make a profit? And people look at me like I have 3 heads. I'm like, no, you got to make a profit. So it's interesting. BigCommerce announced new pricing. They raised their fees very similar to our pricing model. They're charging based on transaction volume. What I found really interesting about BigCommerce's pricing change was how they define the word enterprise. If you're doing 125 grand a year in sales, you become an enterprise site. I think that tells you everything you need to know about how they view the difference between an enterprise company and a non-enterprise company. Shopify. Shopify is a great platform. Very, very good for what it does. Their enterprise product, they raised their pricing 5,000% this year. Magento. Magento's had a really interesting year. They used to be part of these guys over here, and then I don't even know what happened. You guys had like an ugly divorce. PayPal, eBay, Magento, GSI Commerce, you like split off like an ICBM into multiple places. Magento is now owned by a private equity firm, and they have raised their price of enterprise from $15,000 a year to $22,000 a year, so almost a 50% increase. And I'm not saying any of this to knock people for raising their prices. We did the same thing. I'm saying this because the industry finally woke up and said, we have to charge for our intellectual property, otherwise none of us will be here. Now, Magento has some other problems, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but Magento had to build a new platform. They had to go to version 2. And how many of you were on Miva Merchant 4 back in the day? How many remember the pain of going to Miva Merchant 5? Anyone you know who's on Magento 1, thinking about Magento 2, send them a get well card. Yahoo. I don't even know where to begin with that. Marissa Meyer at one point looked like the smartest person in the room. She came up with this really brilliant strategy to avoid $18 billion in taxes by combining Alibaba stock with Yahoo stores. But apparently when you actually say that out loud, the IRS listens and they show up at your door and say no. So now no one's really sure exactly what's going to come of Yahoo. And then on top of that, there's been a VC market slowdown. People are worried about China, they're worried about what's going on next. And the one thing that's happened consistently in our world is that venture capitalists don't seem to understand e-commerce in the slightest. At all. They don't get you. They think, as most people do, of what they go through on a daily basis. And they can't put themselves in the shoes of someone who runs marketing, sales, fulfillment, HR, as a one-man or five-man or five-person shop wearing a multiple hats. What they imagine is Jeff Bezos or eBay. And they can't even get their head around this idea of this American entrepreneurial dream of running a multi-$100,000 or multi-million-dollar business with a very small staff. On top of all that, there's a new role for e-commerce platforms. Ultimately, automation is the key to the game. Automating behavior-based promotions, automating the collection of money, personalizing the sales offers so that your customers see what they want when they're there to look for it. All of that having a seamless integration into your back-end systems so that you're not exporting things, opening Excel, waiting, sorting, waiting, and finally getting the data you need to someone else. How many of you started selling online before the year 2000? A few of you. Okay, so for those of you who remember, this is what e-commerce looked like in 1997. It was 3 things. And this wasn't a bad day's sales either. You had a catalog manager, you had some content management, and you had a checkout process. And that was it. And back then, and to some level today, there are 600 plus shopping carts out there. And that's what a shopping cart is right there. This is what e-commerce is today. How many of you guys can relate to this slide? That your business isn't just taking money from someone. Your business is, where is that product? How do I get to that product? Oh my gosh, they need to return the product. I shipped it to the wrong address. Oh, they're fraudulent. Today, e-commerce is a multi-tenant octopus that needs to be managed from a central hub. So with that, I am going to introduce our head of, what is your title? Strategy and Solutions? I'm going to introduce our head of Strategy and Solutions, Mr. Philip Hansen, who's going to talk through some of the state-of-the-art we've launched in the last 12 months. And we're going to run this keynote a little different. We're going to work through some of my other staff, and then I'll be back up to show what's coming in Miva later this year. With further ado, Mr. Hansen.
All right. Hello, everyone. As Rick said, thanks, Rick, for the warm intro. My name is Philip Hansen, and I have the privilege of sharing with you about some of the things we've been up to. So for those that I haven't met, I've been with Miva since 2009. I started in our professional services group, and for those that are not familiar with that, it's basically a design and development agency within the software company, basically a digital agency. We're working with a number of companies, doing a degree of various things, and we'll highlight some of those things today. So when I first started, I was a project manager. We were only 5 or 6 employees, and it's grown significantly over that time. I think we're 40 some odd employees now in that group. And so I started as project manager, moved into some operational management. Brennan Heidi, who will be up here shortly, and I ran the department from a day-to-day standpoint. In the last couple of years, I've transitioned into more of a strategy solutions role, helping architect and solve problems. And ultimately, I love solving problems. That's my thing, or I don't know. That's something I'm good at. You can ask my wife. I will solve problems that you don't necessarily want me to solve. And if there's any ailment in my house, drink more water. That's the solution to a lot of the problems that we have. So today I'm going to be talking about a couple customers that we've worked with. As many of you know, the front-end interaction of a site is critically important. Even algorithmic changes from Google and other search engines are taking into account where buttons are placed and how much spacing and font size. So usability on the front end of a site is more important, and it has been important and will continue to be important. And so we take a strong look at the front end of sites, and I want to share with you, I have the privilege of working with a lot of folks in the professional services group. I took a report a couple days ago, I ran a report in Basecamp, one of our project management tools, and pulled a report of how many projects I had worked with over the years, and I think it was over 400 projects that I had personally been involved with, whether it was scoping or project management or just overseeing. So I'll quit rambling about myself. Anyway, so this first site is Three Rivers Archery. So these guys came from an ASP.NET storefront, and as you can see, the site's a little cluttered. They have a lot of information that they present. They do high-end archery. You would not believe the level of sophistication in the archery field. And Johnny's here. You can ask him about it, and he'll tell you all kinds of fun stories. Anyway, with their platform, it was a mom-and-pop shop platform, and so they had a difficult time evolving the store, to keeping up with modern trends. They presented a lot of information, and it was difficult to keep moving forward. And they wanted to find a new partner that they could trust and build and continue to grow their vastly growing business with that was able to keep up with them, that they weren't worried, okay, if something happens to so-and-so, we're totally out of luck. So went through the process with us and built out this wonderful new site, fresh branding, kind of new identity, new spin on their corporate identity, reinvented some existing features that they had built out over the years, but weren't really optimized for the different devices, and just took a fresh look at those things. Also implemented a number of new best practices and things that were just new trends for e-commerce. So wonderful result. They're doing some great things, and we're happy to have worked with them over the last year or so. Okay, this next one, plant therapy. So these guys migrated from an open source platform. So a lot of the similar pain points that Three Rivers Archery saw. It was difficult to keep up with modern trends, to keep the site evolving. They're in a rapidly growing industry with essential oils. And they do great oils. I will personally attest. Our household is a plant therapy household. They've got some great oils. I'm doing endorsements. Come talk to me afterward. I'm pretty cheap. Just kidding. Anyway, they were having some of those same difficulties, keeping the site up to date, evolving it, moving it forward. They had the separation problem too of open source platform over here, the people that make the platform, and developer over on this side. And so if they wanted to do something, they were still kind of 1 degree away from the core platform being able to keep up with them. So they're like I said, in a rapidly growing industry. They're on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing list. They're number 31 on the list. So they are growing very rapidly, and it's very difficult for them, or was very difficult for them to keep up with that. So partnered with us, and it's been a wonderful success. They launched some subscription things. They've got a number of subscriptions for their oils. That's just booming. They're just continually growing. Really nice, clean, modern site. Fresh look at their representing their products on category pages, making it easy, for all their repeat buyers like me who run out of that sniffle stopper every couple months. All right, BTO Sports. So many of you have been around Miva a while. You've heard the name BTO Sports. They're one of our clients that's been around a while. They're an internet retailer, 500 customer. They're doing great. They're in the action sports industry. We actually did this site a couple years ago. It was one of the earlier responsive sites we had done, and it was a great result. Sites, sales went up. It was a successful project. Really turned out well, but trends change, things evolve. There's new technology. There's new, monitors. Computer monitors are getting bigger. Phones are getting bigger. So we realized it had been a couple years. It needed some updating. So went through the process. Took a really hard look at the checkout process. Really hard look at the mobile experience, the navigation. Really made sure that we were fine-tuning with the current technology and trends that were available to us. And the end result was spectacular. Really clean new site. Their checkout was just phenomenal. It's really streamlined, and immediate boost in their checkout goal funnel conversion rate, and it was a great result. Okay, TP-Link. Some of you may or may not recognize this by the name. You'd recognize the logo for sure. Many of you have their products in your home or your office. They're in the networking hardware industry, a leading manufacturer in that space. And they were partnering with, they had a new product launch. They wanted to go direct. They wanted to be able to sell their products online, and they had they have like 4 existing sites, .com.us, it's all confusing. But they needed a way to start doing e-commerce efficiently from their site. So they worked with us. They actually had a tight timeline, and so we were under the gun to build out a site and make sure it was tested and running for this brand new product launch. And so went through the process, launched this great site with hours to spare. I'm just kidding, days to spare or weeks to spare. I don't quite remember it, but it was a wonderful result. They hit the ground running. They started doing this direct sales, and really nice, clean checkout process. That was a great one. Okay, this last one is another one that's been around Miva a while. As you can see, the site has been on Miva a while. Many of you had sites that looked similar to this many years ago. But they had a difficult time with mobile optimization as their customers, even though they were a little behind the curve, they were still going to mobile. Their percentages on the mobile side of things were really climbing. And they wanted to do some new things with their back office system. And there's a long story behind this, and you can go talk to them or wait for the case study later this year. But they actually spent a year and a half going down the road trying to integrate, trying to migrate away from Miva with one of the competitors Rick touched on. And ultimately pulled the plug on that and realized it just wasn't working out, and that the things they had been promised that they had to have, because of this other platform, weren't really what they were presenting. And so went through the process, came back and did a revamp with us, and took a nice fresh look at their corporate identity and their usability of the site, really making it easy for customers to get exactly to the products they wanted. Not many of you are sitting around on a Saturday afternoon perusing battery sites. You may be perusing a clothing site, but definitely not a battery site. So having navigation that lets someone really tailor down and identify what they want to buy quickly was critical. So with that, coming soon. So one last one I want to talk about. This is a company that we're excited to talk about. We're in the process with them right now. This is a manufacturer in the skateboarding and action sports industry. They have a number of brands, and they've got a big manufacturing B2B business, but their B2C side of things was kind of an extension of their ERP platform, not really an enterprise e-commerce platform. And so it's been growing steadily. They realized, wow, there's a market here. We want to go direct, as a number of manufacturers have done over the last decade. And so they're in the process of tackling that, and they obviously wanted to tightly integrate with their back office system. So we're excited to have this site launched later in the year. You'll probably recognize a couple of their brands. They've got about a dozen or so that you may or may not recognize, depending on how active you are or your sons and daughters are skateboarding. Okay, so I want to shift gears here and talk a little bit about the back end. As Rick mentioned, having integrations and being able to plug in, and how do you take all these orders? You're getting hundreds or thousands of orders a day. How do you fulfill those when you're getting them from all the different channels? How do you handle the supply chain and incoming inventory, all the above? And as you continue to grow, it just becomes so much more critical to have your data and just have systems talk to each other and have it in one place. You have forecasting and all the things that you need to run growing businesses. So I'll talk about a few companies that have worked with us to make sure that their back-end systems have integrated tightly. So Cali Bamboo is another another Inc. 5000 fastest growing company. They actually were on Suite Commerce with NetSuite on the back end, and so we're a fan of NetSuite, ERP, CRM on the back end. But Suite Commerce they found clunky and it was difficult to work with, and it just wasn't evolving, and it was just difficult to work with. But they didn't want to sacrifice the tightness of the integration. As you can imagine, they're selling custom flooring. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of CRM activity, and so they wanted that tight integration to stay there. So they were able to use our enterprise tools and integrate, and so orders and customer records and shopper cart abandonment creates new leads for their sales folks to go chase after, and they're doing some awesome things between NetSuite on the back end and Miva on the front end. This next one, GHP Group Inc. I realize the name of the companies are a little small. You guys probably can't read it, but GHP Group Inc. They've got a great front-end site. All these sites I'll touch on, they've got great front-end sites you guys should go take a look at as well. But GHP Group's another manufacturer. They're selling hearths and fireplaces and electric fireplaces. Many of you probably have their products in your home or your backyard. They're sold in Costco and Lowe's and Home Depot nationwide. And they wanted to launch a B2C site, and they wanted to launch that channel, but they didn't necessarily want to invent new process and hire a bunch of people to do onesie, twosie fulfillment. And so they wanted to tie into their existing systems. And so Microsoft Dynamics GP is one of those type of systems, and went through the process, built out the front-end site, tightly integrated it with the back end so that they're able to quickly grow their B2C channel. So the paper store, this is another this is actually a retailer. These guys have been on Miva a couple years now. They're fairly new to e-commerce. They started as a brick and mortar chain. They're in the New England region in the Northeast. And they've got 40, 50 some odd brick and mortar stores, and so they've got inventory spread out across all those locations, and online, their online store is actually just taking off. It is just absolutely booming. And so it's now, I don't know if it's outperforming many of their stores or most of their stores, but it's quickly growing. And so seeing inventory and having all that data in one concise spot is critically important. They use Epicor Eagle on the back end. Epicor is a maker of a number of different ERP type softwares, and that's what they use. And so we integrated tightly with Epicor Eagle using our enterprise tools. One of the nice front end features is customers are able to, they're on the website, they're looking at a product page, and they're able to look up what stores around them actually have that product in stock, and they're able to go and check it out. So another great one there. Crown Automotive. Their site is crownautomotive.net, but there's not much to see because you have to be a dealer in order to log in and really purchase anything. These guys are a manufacturer and distributor of auto parts, and they've got warehouses nationwide or globally. And so their dealers have, say I'm a dealer in California and I normally order from the Nevada warehouse. Well, if it's out of stock at the Nevada warehouse, I might be desperate enough to pay the extra cost or the extra lead time to get it from the Massachusetts warehouse. And so we integrated in such a way where those different inventory levels are available and presented to the customer. And they actually control which customers or which dealers are assigned to which warehouses. And all that data is pushed back and forth seamlessly between the two systems. Oops, wrong button. All right, this last one, Mion Faget. This is a jewelry designer down in the South in the New Orleans area. And does anyone own a piece of Mion Faget jewelry? Anyone in here? Not so much. All right. They've got a number of brick and mortar stores down in the region, and they actually also relaunched a nice new front end site. So go check out that site as well. But they use Microsoft Dynamics Nav on the back end, and so again, they need to do forecasting. They need to manage their supply chain and make sure that they're manufacturing enough to keep up with not just their brick and mortar stores, but their online channels as well. And so they worked with us to integrate all their order fulfillment, orders coming out of Miva, tracking numbers back in. They even do some things with their gift cards, and so they're able to use, so-and-so gave a gift card that they bought at the brick and mortar store, and those folks are able to use it on the front end website. So real tight integration there with Nav, as we've done with a number of other systems. So as I wrap up here, I want to talk a little bit about another component of what we do in the professional services group. And that's the ongoing evolution of sites. As many of you know, if you're not moving forward, your competitors are and your customers' expectations are, so you're essentially moving backwards. And so we've worked with a number of companies over the course of the years and just evolving and updating their sites and keeping up with things and just ongoing stuff that goes into running an e-commerce business. So how many of you have been in or are currently in what we call the Design Club? Raise your hands. All right, wow, that's a lot. Did you guys get your club jackets? Club jacket? No? Lost in the mail, maybe? You're supposed to send us your size. I don't know what happened there. The Design Club was our program for doing kind of ongoing just updates and partnering with you for growing your business. And it doesn't really depict what we do. It wasn't a great name to begin with. We never really liked it, but we couldn't really ever think of anything better. And it was 6 years ago or so. I don't really remember who was involved with naming it, but I'm pretty sure it was all Rick Wilson's fault. Just kidding. Anyway, so I'm happy to announce a fresh spin on our hourly services program, and that's what we're calling the Managed Account Program, or MAP for short. So it's a lot of the same great things we've been doing. We've got that full team I mentioned, project managers, account managers, designers, developers, you name it, all the different things that go into evolving and having a team that you partner with that's helping you grow your business, your e-commerce business. So we're doing a lot of the same, continue to do a lot of the same things, and we have what we'll be calling the Professional MAP, Managed Account Program. And so this will be for the people that are currently in Design Club. You will be in what is now called the Professional Managed Account Program. And for those that are looking for a little bit more, some of our enterprise clients, they need a little higher level of service, or maybe they need more dedicated access to some of our team. They need some of the more senior resources that we have available. And for that, we're releasing with this rollout what we're calling Enterprise Managed Account Program. So there's some other things that come along with this, and some benefits to being on our enterprise map, and we're able to tailor it, and having a unique program for it's really allowed us to tailor our services to our enterprise customers that need a higher level of service. So with that, I'm excited to see how those programs evolve and continue to keep working with a number of our pro services clients and just clients across the board. So I will introduce Rich Rauscher now, and that is all I have.
Hello. So I'm the new guy. I started about 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I wanted to go over a couple things that I've been asked to work on since I joined. The thing that I've been focusing on more than anything else has been what has been known as support. And I've chosen to rename it as Technical Assistance Center. There's a couple reasons for that. Some of them are customer facing, some of them are actually internally facing. I want to raise the level, raise the expectation, and as I've put it to my own staff and as I've put it to the company, you date with sales, you may cohabitate with our design services people, but you're married to support. So I want to make sure that marriage is a good one. So I have taken steps to fundamentally restructure how we do support. So right now, let me just get actually I don't need a show of hands for this because I think I know the answer. Who really likes it when you call someplace and they tell you in a recorded message how much they value your business and how important your call is? Does anybody like that? How many people like to hear how our call volumes are higher than normal? It's interesting to me, whenever I call my cell phone provider or my cable company, call volumes are always higher than normal, so I don't know what normal is defined as, but we know what our call volumes are and we can plan around it. And I think that's something you should expect from any company who values you as a customer and values support as something that really needs to be executed well. So abandonment rates are one of the things we look at, and this is a graph of kind of our pre-change abandonment rates. There's 3 lines. You probably can't read the legend at the top. The top white grayish line is people who are calling with billing questions. The middle blue line is people who are calling with our standard support questions, and the bottom is our enterprise customers. So this is before we made any changes, so around pre-September of 2015, we were experiencing abandonment rates. That is people who called and then gave up without talking to anybody, in the 50% range for billing, 40% range for regular support, and the 15 to 25% range for our enterprise customers. That's a lot of frustration. That means, especially for billing, roughly 50% or 1 out of 2 people who call us hang up not getting anything done. So to me, as a customer, that's something I don't want to deal with. In fact, I wanted to I have only worked at Miva briefly, but I've been a Miva customer, and I've had families and friends who have been Miva customers for a very long time. I've known David Hubbard, who's an executive in Miva, for over 20 years, and I've referred countless friends and families to them. And as soon as they heard that I was working here, they started calling me and saying, "Can you do anything about my support ticket? Can you do anything to get them to answer the phone faster?" And I said, "I'm not going to do anything for your specific ticket, because that's honestly just wouldn't be right. But what I will do is start working on it globally and trying to ensure that every time somebody calls, Or every time somebody sends an electronic ticket in, they get a response that I would be proud of and one that I would expect from a company that values my business. So here's our post changes, and I'm going to see if my laser pointer works on here. So the previous graph went up to about here. So we immediately made the first set of changes we made with our enterprise customers, and our abandonment rates have sustained close to under 10%, mostly under 10%. We had a couple spikes where we had some either people out sick or vacations or something strange. But by and large, our abandonment rates for enterprise customers have been below 10%. Our abandonment rates for regular support have been between 10 and 15%, a couple spikes. And billing, which has actually very few people working on it at any given time. If we get a rush of calls, we still have some fairly high abandonment rates. One of the things that this graph doesn't show is that people are abandoning faster and faster, which is actually a good thing, which means that your expectation of us answering the phone has improved. Thank you. So another really important metric that I'm focusing on is how fast do we answer your call if you're calling. If your site's down, you want us on the phone now. Obviously, you'd prefer your site doesn't go down at all. But if your site's down, you want us on the phone now. You want help now. I know that's what I would want, especially if every time I'm seeing this site down, I'm hitting refresh and refresh on the browser, I know I'm losing money. So our time to answer for these three different queues was in the, let's see, over 20 minutes for billing, about, I think that says about 14 minutes or so for regular, actually, these are wrong, so I'm sorry. So this is enterprise, this is regular support, and this is our billing queue. So this was billing, this is regular support, so it's about 22 minutes, and for our enterprise customers, it was about 6 minutes or so. This is one of the reasons why we had so many people giving up. So now I'm very proud to say that our average time to answer for enterprise customers, and I can tell you as of for this week right now, is 14 seconds. That's like 3.5 rings of the phone. In fact, we have very few people who even queue up waiting for a person to talk to on enterprise customers. Depending upon what time of the day you call, you still will probably experience some queues with regular support. That's particularly true in the kind of 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, so 12 to 3 Pacific. But by and large, we are answering your call. In fact, this week, I think it's 41 seconds if you call regular support. And billing, again, it depends highly on what time of the day you call because we've got a limited number of people in billing. But if you call during the regular part of the day, say 8 to 5 Eastern, 8 to 6 Eastern, you should expect to wait no more than 2 minutes. So telephone calls are the first thing I started focusing on. Obviously, not everybody uses. In fact, I know about 62% of you submit your first ticket through electronic tickets. So the first thing that we've looked at for electronic tickets, this was really only, actually. Okay. So we started actually a little program, and I kind of, I don't know, I made this dashboard that shows every person's tickets that they have assigned to them. And if they're responding to them in the amount of time they expect, which is first response for an enterprise customer within 8 hours, first response for a regular support customer within 24 hours, and then subsequent updates 24 hours for enterprise customers and 72 hours for regular support, then they get a gold star. So they get what we call, it's all green. Their dashboard is all green. And if they don't, each ticket that isn't responded to in a certain amount of time is a very glaring red. So we've just implemented that about 3 weeks ago. I'm hoping that you're already seeing it. And actually, I do want to get a show of hands on this. Who has called phone call support in the last 6 months? Who has had a positive experience with that call? Maybe the other hand or something like that in terms of response time. Okay. All right. Good. Tickets, we're just starting to beat down on. So that's probably... I would say if you should have seen if you've filed a ticket within the last 4 weeks, you should have seen an improvement with our response on tickets too. So the one message I really want to leave you with is that support will be a market differentiator for Miva. Support will be a market differentiator for Miva. I personally have a small business in Florida. I work through a number of companies. I despise it when I cannot get somebody on the phone to help me or get a response in a timely manner through some sort of electronic submission. That in itself, more than anything else, is what's likely to drive me to do something different. So support will be a market differentiator for Miva. All right. Thank you for your time. I'd like to introduce Brendan.
Hello, hello. Guys, how you doing? There's a lot of you out there. It is such an honor to be able to be up here and get to share some of the incredible work of our team. I was just thinking the other day, version 9 was released roughly 15 months ago, and so much has changed in that 15 months. All the features and functionality, and prior to version 9, if you wanted to say accept a coupon within Miva, you needed a third-party plugin. And now today we have the most robust, most powerful discounting marketing engine on the market. So a ton has changed, and I'm excited to get to share some of this with you. So one of the tentpole features of version 9 was this concept of ready themes. Now, ready themes was two parts. There was an admin component to it, which allowed you to control the ready theme, and there was a front-end theme that you could actually install, and it was the look and feel of your website. So the admin part of it allowed you to do things like update your logo, or control the images and the promotional messaging on your site. Previously, before ready themes, if you wanted to swap out an image on your homepage, you needed 3 skill sets. You needed to be able to use Photoshop to be able to resize that image. You needed to be able to FTP an image to the server. And you also needed to go into the template code and swap out the image tag with the new image. So you needed to know HTML. So with ready themes, we actually have a point-and-click interface to be able to control all of that. You can upload your image, it'll automatically resize it for you, and you can even control the link to where it goes to, all without writing a single line of code, which is really fantastic, and it helps out for store owners where you don't have to go and edit the page template. You still have the ability to do that. We didn't take that away. We added a layer on top to make things a little bit easier. In addition to customizing images, you can also do things like manage content. You can do things like manage navigation. So your top navigation or your left navigation or your footer navigation, you can control from a nice visual interface, and you could move one from the bottom to top. You can change a link where it goes to, again, all without editing code. So the admin component was a very powerful piece of ready themes. The second part to ready themes, though, was the actual themes themselves, the templates. So essentially a website in a box. You upload your theme, and you have this very high quality theme that you can then customize. And so you can do some light customizations through the admin, or you can dive in and get into the CSS and customize it to be whatever you want. So they're all high quality responsive themes that made what once was a multi-tens of thousands of dollars website, we actually give it to you for free, and you can then customize it and build your website. And we've seen some great feedback, and I see on the forums all the time. I talk with a lot of customers. I see new sites every day where customers they took one of our themes and they installed it, and they customized their site themselves, and they launched it. We've seen some great user feedback from people taking these themes and doing a bunch of good stuff with it. This is a quote from Greg from Toyota Parts. He took one of our new Levels Ready theme, and in a 2-week period. He had help from one of his developers, but he essentially built and launched an entire website in 2 weeks. And so I asked him to describe his experience, and here's what he had to say. I'm not going to read it, but so we've seen this time and time again from customers who are adopting Ready Themes, and they've had a really good experience. So let me talk about what Ready Themes looks like today. So we currently have 9 responsive websites or responsive themes. They're all free. We have 7 additional themes that are currently in production, which I'm going to show off here today. And it's built on 3 powerful frameworks. So initially, when we went to build Ready Themes, we said, okay, what's gonna give us the most freedom and the most developers that will be able to customize these themes. And so we went and looked at Twitter Bootstrap, which is a popular framework, and so we built our first themes using Twitter Bootstrap. So we have a Twitter Bootstrap framework for any developers out there that know Bootstrap. We also have 2 other frameworks that we built in-house. They're both responsive frameworks that we built our themes on top of. And we've had 2,500 downloads of Ready Themes to date. So we're really proud of that, and we've seen a lot of customers taking these Ready Themes and doing some great things. So in addition to the Ready Themes, we actually built and launched a brand new theme marketplace this year. So it's apps.miva.com/themes. And here you can go and you can view all the themes. You can compare them side by side. You can dive into each of the themes. You can look at the features or functionality. We have live demos of each of the themes. You can even see other themes, other sites that are using this theme, so you get some design inspiration. So if you haven't checked it out recently, definitely go take a look at that. So I want to show off a couple of our most recent themes. The first one is called Book, and we our design team likes to name each of the themes, so they give them some creative name. So this is Book, and Book took a little different approach. Let me show it to you here. So it's a very clean and simple user interface. The homepage focuses on categories. So the top part has your featured categories. This Ready theme has a built-in homepage slider. So it's kind of cut off there, but that bottom pink image it will slide left and right, and you can control it through the app interface. So if you want to swap out the image, change where it links to, you can go and point and click, update, and it now changes that image. The next one is Levels. So Levels is probably our most feature-rich Ready theme. We took all the experience we got over the past couple years building themes, and we kind of packaged that and built that into Levels. And so here's what it looks like. It has a really advanced mega menu, so it drops down from the left and also flies out from the right. So this is a great theme if you have a lot of categories, really a bunch of categorization for your products. And this one has a nice feature where it will preview your search. So as you start typing a search term, it will actually show you 5 categories and 5 products that match your search term built in. You can click on it and go straight there. All these themes are responsive, which means that they respond to the screen size you're on. So you have if you're on a phone or a tablet or desktop. And both these 2 themes have an optimized checkout process. And so what we did, we wanted to look at the current checkout process we use. We wanted to kind of rethink it. We wanted to streamline it. We wanted to make it simpler. And we wanted to see if we can increase conversion rates for customers. And so our design team did a great job. We did a bunch of research of a bunch of other checkout processes, and we kind of combined the best of everything, and we built it into these 2 themes. So it has our built-in support for things like coupons and things like gift certificates and customer credit and shipping preview. And this is one of the screens. This is built to ship to. but we streamlined it where you have that right column where that shows your basket. The header, we stripped out the header, so it only shows a single link back to the homepage. It's very clean. It focuses on the customer on the page, on the calls to action. The form fields were made larger for touch inputs. On the credit card pay, we auto-detect the credit card type and some credit card validation. If you're only using credit cards, you don't have to select your credit card on the previous page. It'll automatically detect it. So there's some really great features and functionality built into this checkout process, and I would highly recommend check it out. This is on both the book and the Levels Ready theme. So what's next? So I want to show off a few of the themes that we have coming out. So this one is called Venture. And so this is actually a theme variation. So we have this concept of, you can almost say child themes or variation themes. We take a theme like Levels. So this is actually the Levels framework behind the scenes. So it has all the same features and functionality of Levels. And we can re-theme it, we can reskin it. So we customize the images and we customize the CSS. So it looks like a totally different site, but the foundation is still the same features and functionality as Levels. Auto Parts Unlimited. So this is a brand new framework, brand new ready theme that focuses on a site that has a lot of products, thousands of products. It's very search heavy. You have the search box there front and center. And Harrison Stone. So this is based off Savant, which is our most popular ready theme to date. This has a more organic and neutral color scheme. And Divino. So this is again a Levels variation. So it's a Levels foundation, but it's a darker version. So if you're familiar with any of our current themes, we have Savant, and then we have Iron and Wool. And Iron and Wool is a darker version of Savant. This is the same concept. We have Levels, and we have Divino, which is a darker version of Divino. So if you have the right type of products that look good on a black background, this is a great theme. And it wouldn't be a true keynote without launching something on stage. So we now have Divino is available to download from the App Store. So what comes next? We asked our design team, who does all the design stage ready themes, to come up with a new set of themes that are different than anything that you've seen here and anything that we've done to date. So we let them be incredibly creative, and we said, design something that focuses on branding and lifestyle, and just kind of pull out all the stops. And so we have 3 themes here, which I want to show off to you. The first one is called Essentia. So it's very bright colors. Focuses on a lifestyle, focuses on the products, so it's a great looking theme. We then have Lux, kind of the same concept, very, very image heavy graphics, lifestyle, focusing on the actual brand. And Storyteller, so this would be if you had a single product or a few products and you wanted to kind of tell the story of how that product was built. This is my what I like to call the Kickstarter theme, where you have a product that you'd sell on Kickstarter. You could use this theme and highlight the craftsmanship behind the product. So we want to do something fun. We have all these new themes that we have designed and that are coming out. We want to let you guys kind of vote on them and give us some feedback and figure out which themes you like best, and that's the themes that we're actually gonna build first. So out of the sales booth, we have a bunch of easels set up, and we printed out these themes on a nice poster board. You can go and check them out in more detail. And we have forms where you can pick your top 2 favorite themes and give us some feedback, and we're going to use that feedback to help decide which themes we build. So I want to shift gears a little bit from ready themes, and I want to talk about our user ecosystem. So the first part of that is the App Store. So we relaunched the App Store. It's probably been year and a half now. Who remembers the old Miva Central? That's Keith's baby. Keith Hunniford built the original Miva Central. So the App Store has been doing great. We're extremely proud of kind of what it's become. We have 200 plus apps and integrations that are currently there, and we see more and more being added every single day. In addition to third-party apps, though, we also have Miva apps that we build and release on the App Store. So if you haven't checked it out, there's a whole section for Miva built apps, and these are modules built by us that we publish to the App Store. So the MMUI CCUI conversion tool, template search and replace, which is an incredible tool. If you haven't used it, it'll save you a bunch of headaches trying to find a particular string or something within what a certain page template, generate coupons. So there's a bunch of apps that we build and we release here. So definitely check it out, and we're constantly updating this as well. And probably the biggest growth for the App Store has been the new integrations. So we have third-party partners that build an integration with Miva for their service. And so an example of a few of them here: Shop Socially, Cloudflare was a CDN, Shopper Approved, which is site reviews and product reviews, and they're actually here. Definitely go check them out. So we have all these integrations that are being built with Miva, where you can either install a plugin that will take the heavy lifting out of integrating with a third-party service. So we've been working on behind the scenes probably for the past 18 months, maybe a little bit longer, on a new billing system for Miva. And a lot of this is internal for our processes to streamline our billing process, but it has a lot of impact on our customers. So I want to share with you this new system, which is called Miva. So it has the same design language of the Miva admin, so it looks very familiar, but it allows you. So it's a totally new billing system for Miva, and it gives us a lot of new functionality. It also does stuff with hosting, so it's a billing and hosting control panel. So the things that you'll get from it is a single unified invoice for your monthly bill, which you may not have now. If you're currently in Design Club and you currently have 6 different sites that are all separate invoices, so this streamlines that whole process. You can view your billing history, you can request an invoice to be resent. If you have multiple hosting accounts with Miva, you can manage it all from a single screen. You can get a snapshot of all your hosting accounts. You can manage the hosting resources, so disk space and bandwidth. You can increase or reduce that. And you can manage your seats. It's also a single sign-on to Plesk. So currently right now, if you want to log into Plesk, which is the hosting control panel, you would go to your Plesk URL, it's usually :8443, and you log into Plesk. Now this will redirect you back to my.miva. You log into my.miva, and that's how you get into Plesk. There's a link to the Miva admin. You can manage FTP users through the system. You can manage domain and SSL, and of course you can submit support requests. So we're real excited about my.miva and all the possibilities that it brings and streamlined processes, not only for us as a company, but for you, for our customers. So in addition to my.miva, we also looked at our onboarding process for new customers and what that looked like. And so we kind of revamped that over the past year, and we tied it back into this new billing system that we've been working on. So here's our new sign-up page for Miva. So if you're a customer and you wanted to purchase Miva, you'd come here, fill this out. You then go into what we call our sign-up wizard. So you choose your domain name, you choose your SSL, and you choose your theme. Now, previously we had a somewhat similar process, but everything on the back end was done manually by a support team. So we would manually register your domain. We would manually go and get your SSL. We would manually go and provision your site on the servers. This new system automates that whole process. So it has great efficiencies for us as a company, but it also helps you as a customer. So before, when you would sign up for Miva and you'd go through this process, it may take a few hours or sometimes even a few days before you got access to your new Miva store. Now it's instant. In a matter of minutes, you get an email that has access to your site. It's been provisioned on a server. Your SSL has been ordered. Your domain name's been registered. So it's a great customer experience, and we're really excited about it. In addition to all that, though, we took it one step further and said, okay, someone who's new to Miva, there's a learning curve that we want to help them get over as quick as possible. We want to guide them through the process. And so we built a getting started guide that has 8 steps that walks a new customer through adding products and categories, customizing navigation, customizing your Ready theme, talks about the App Store, and the process of actually going live. So this is a series of a landing page that you can kind of go through it, and also a series of emails that guides you through the process. And this is actually live, and it's been live for a few months now, and we've seen some great results from it. So the last thing that I want to leave you with is a personal baby of mine, docs.miva. And we've been talking about this project for a long time, and we've been making steps to bring it to fruition, and we're finally ready to get it finished. And so what it is Miva has a ton of documentation. I think I said this last year. We've released the most documentation that we've ever released in the history of our company, but we still have the problem that it's hard to find stuff. So docs.miva, its goal is to keep things in a central location and make it easy to find. And so someone should be able to go and search for inventory variants, and you get back the reference guide that talks through what inventory variants are and how to configure them in Miva. You'd also get back a video that you could watch of what inventory variants are. You could get back code samples of how to customize inventory variants. So our goal is to create this single streamlined interface where all the information is available at your fingertips, and it's easy to find. So hopefully next year I can get on the stage and show this off to you. But this is my Everest. This is my mountain to climb. So I'm excited. I think that's all I have. I would like to re-welcome Rick Wilson back to the stage.
All right, everyone do me a favor, stand up. Shake. Turn around. Come on, get it out. Been sitting for a long time, I know I was. So, you guys enjoying it so far? Is this helpful? I mean, yeah, I'm a little bit egocentric, but I don't really do this for me. I do it for you. So, all right. We're going to talk now about what's coming in Miva Merchant. But before I do that, I want to talk about the staff that you've seen speak this morning and the staff that makes the event go around. If you've been coming to MivaCon for a few years, you'll notice that Russ would get up and make a joke, and then I'd get up and speak, and we would go on. And we've now expanded and started bringing more and more staff into the keynotes. And I think one of the reasons we've done that, and it's worked, is because I get out of the way now. Brennan not only has a baby called docs.miva, but Brennan also has a baby coming. When does it do? So Brennan not only is getting ready for his keynote, but his wife is getting ready to give birth to his first child. Congratulations. Phil Hansen has a young child. Rich is new to our team, but has been around the Miva community for a long time. We have so many babies being born at Miva that we give out baby onesies now that say Miva on it for every newborn, which is kind of cool, I think. So with that said, my team, we couldn't do any of this without the team, but I'm now going to show you where we're headed with the actual product. So one of the things that happened, how many of you are familiar with this idea that happened in December that you all got new credit cards in the mail with a chip in them? Raise your hands. So there was talk about this for a while that, hey, that's going to shift fraud online. And they had seen that in Europe a little bit, and there was concern that, that they would start hacking stores to get credit cards. And the reason it didn't really go down exactly like that is there's not that many stores that have huge treasure troves of credit cards. Unless you're Target. Most stores don't sit around with 50 million credit cards in them. So what they've done instead, because criminals are clever, is they now steal batches of card numbers the same way they always have, and then they're using online stores to test the card number because they can't do it in-store anymore because the stores require a chip. So that's what's called carding. And so we have a new version that will likely release later today called 9.53. Its only purpose is to give you some tools to prevent carding attacks. The thing about carding attacks is this. You're not really shipping any product for the most part. You're not even getting the money. The person whose card got stolen isn't out any money. It's just hassle. But the real problem is, if you go to sleep one night and when you wake up there's been 10,000 attempts on your site, you might have a $2,500 bill from your payment gateway company. And that's the problem. And so we looked and said, hey, how do we provide some built-in tools? And part of this started, Chip from PayPal, who you guys will meet over at the PayPal booth. Chip and I started talking in December, and he said, we're seeing a huge rise in carding attacks. Can you guys do anything? Can you help with that? And luckily, I have really smart people who work for me. And so they came up with 5 ideas that I think are going to make a huge difference. And these are all defensive. These features are there they're sort of like home security systems. The idea is to get the criminal to go next door who doesn't have alarm. So one is there'll be a new auth failure log and blacklist. So you'll be able to see any authorization failures via the admin, and then set rules that says, hey, if this IP does X number of things you don't like, just block it. It can all be automatic, so you don't have to think about it. We have a brand new reCAPTCHA module coming out that uses the latest Google reCAPTCHA API, which is cool because one of the things that Google does that's neat with reCAPTCHA is once they've cookied you and know that you're a human, instead of having to type that insane CAPTCHA thing, they just give you that little check mark that says, I'm not a robot, which is pretty cool. And again, you're not going to leave reCAPTCHA on all the time, but you can now set it so that if your store senses it's under a carding attack, it can just turn this on for you automatically and keep you from waking up with a huge bill or a bunch of upset customers. Third one, which is also interesting, is this idea of a failure authorization delay. This is like having a deadbolt. So you can say, hey, I want you, after X number of attempts, to slow down an attempt to run a credit card by 1 second. And I think you can actually set it in milliseconds, right, Brennan? Yeah, so you could set it at 200 milliseconds, but you slow it down just enough. The thing is, for a human, it'll be mostly imperceptible. For a bot that's trying to run 1,000 cards in a minute, if it can only now run 10 cards in a minute, it will just go to the next site. You can also now set a max authorizations per basket. So, hey, you tried 5 times to buy this, you're either a total loser or you're a bot, so you're out of here. And then the final one, which is pretty cool, but it does require a small change to the template code, is a auth security token. So this is like a new, without getting too in the weeds technically, it's like a new session ID that would only be generated by a human's browser. So the bot can't have it. So in theory, we can detect it's a bot before the bot does anything and just throw it out. So all these should be available today. If they're not available today, they'll be available tomorrow or Monday. But this is immediately going to be available to help you guys prevent carding attacks as we switch to EMVs in the market. But let's get on to the sexy stuff. Miva Merchant 9.6. The feature that I'm most excited about in Miva Merchant 9.6 is subscription management. How many of you sell something or want to sell something on a subscription? Okay, so a few. For those of you who don't have your hand raised, I'm going to give you a little secret. If you can sell something on subscription, you should. People agree to give you money every month, over and over and over again, for as long as you can keep them happy. Subscriptions are the future when it comes to this type of commerce. And right now, if you've tried to run an e-commerce subscription business, frankly, and that includes the tools for Miva, they all suck. They're just horrible. They are, even big companies, go try to renew your Vanity Fair subscription. Get through that website. Condé Nast needs, well, they need to talk to Phil, but Condé Nast needs help. And if Condé Nast can't do it, neither can anyone else. And so we have built from the ground up a subscription management tool in 9.6 that is fully integrated, works at the product variant and kit level, and allows you to offer things in your store as subscriptions. Now, why are subscriptions challenging? People will say, well, gateways support subscriptions or recurring billing. Those things are true. Yeah, I can tell Authorize.net to charge the same credit card once a month. But Authorize.net doesn't natively provide a website for me to log in and say, update that card, or log in and say, hey, I didn't get that shipment, or let's skip a month, or let's cancel. And so we're providing all of the interface necessary for a full subscription management. So whether you're selling the Dog Toy of the Month Club, or whether Phil can actually land us Condé Nast as a customer, subscription management will be built into 9.6. It does require Miva Pay to work, which I'll talk about in a few minutes. This one's been a long time coming, so I won't spend too much time on it. But as we've expanded Miva Merchant, there's been a number of tools out there for managing feeds. And feeds are the ability to push data to other websites and services. And lately, it's become more and more onerous, things like Google Shopping. Google Shopping doesn't just want to know what products you have. They want to know what colors, what sizes, how many you have in stock. They want to know if the price is different for the XXL versus the XL. And these things make the feeds ever more complex. So we've built a fully functioning feed management system into the core software that is, what did you call it yesterday, Brendan? Template data feed on steroids? Review baskets, it's just our clever way of renaming Bill's show baskets module. But I will say this, even though Emporium Plus is now owned by Miva, these things are all built from the ground up. We don't take modules we've purchased elsewhere and include them. We actually rethink these tools and start from scratch. So some cool things about the Review Baskets module. We find that people get addicted to it. People sort of like staring at analytics. You can sit through a one-way window and see what people are doing on your website. And I can see that Brennan's there looking at subscribing to my Dog Toy of the Month Club. And but one of the cool things is you can actually get in and edit basket contents and assist with checkout even if they're an anonymous shopper. So if someone calls and they're not an account holder, you can still help. We can do that today if they have an account, but this actually will open that up to a much larger audience. Restock shelves is just automatic replenishment of inventory that's been left in abandoned baskets. That's part of our automated task tools that are coming. One of the other really cool things is inventory after checkout. So inventory after checkout, it's not a hugely requested feature, but there are some specific use cases in which it's incredibly important. If you sell one-of-a-kind goods, if you sell tickets. So the downside to inventory after checkout is if I have one thing, I can let 5 people put that one thing in the basket and run toward the checkout. And whoever gets there first wins. But you know who does that? Amazon. They don't care. Partly because they don't have to, but they don't care. They'll just let you sell whatever you want, and then if they are actually out of stock, you'll get an email later that says, oops, sorry, we don't have that. Our integration is a little more nuanced than that, and it's specifically designed for these one-of-a-kind items and for ticket-type sales. We also have new marketplace integrations coming. We have an integration for Etsy. How many of you sell Etsy-style stuff? So few. Etsy's an interesting marketplace. I'm a fan. In fact, as time goes by, I find that I use Etsy more and more. Etsy's what eBay used to be. If you're looking for something interesting, Etsy's a cool place to find it. If you want to get something that's artistic or you want to get something custom, Etsy is essentially a marketplace for handcrafted goods. And they've expanded what they'll allow in the marketplace, and so I think it'll cover a much larger swath of our audience. In addition, we are also building in, and this will be a nice, I think, happy one for everyone, to the marketplace's integration, a native Google Shopping integration. So now you should no longer have to mess with Google Shopping feeds manually. It'll all be built into the marketplace's module. And if you're not familiar with Google Shopping, this is what Google Shopping looks like when you, this laser pointer stinks. If you go search on Google and then click the products tab, this is what a Google Shopping page looks like over on the right. And so Google Shopping allows you to go directly to the buy page and check out. And they're also known as product listing ads, but if you're not using these new marketplace features, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. There is a ton of buyers looking in different ways: eBay, Amazon, Etsy, Google Shopping, and the marketplace's module is very much designed to deliver that to you. We also have some new responsive email templates. The ones we have in there now were built with CSS UI. I don't know that this is a game-changing feature at all, but to have an email that looks good on any device right out of the box is very cool. And then now, my second most favorite feature coming is what we're calling MivaPay, and it's a standalone middleware to handle a number of payment-related items. We even have a cool logo. How many of you would love to save credit cards in your store? How many of you also do not want any liability associated with saving those same credit cards? MivaPay is going to solve for that. MivaPay is going to give you the ability to have a full, for lack of a better term, Amazon-style wallet right in your store where neither you nor even a hacker would have access to those credit card numbers. And it's a very interesting model for how we've chosen to get there. But you can add cards, and then what you'll see is when someone's got a card stored, it'll show the name of the card and what it's ending in as part of the drop-down. Otherwise, they'll have the option to select new card right beneath that. And so what we're doing here is we've built this as a standalone application. And we did that for a number of reasons. How many of you use something like StoneEdge, Shipworks, Mom, any of those things? Any third-party order processing system? All right, Keith, my little cord is stuck. Okay. So what we did to solve for this problem was we looked at these things and we said, hey, if I went to some new payment processor, I went to Square, let's say, and I cut some deal with Square, and I convinced them to let me offer this new payment thing that's gonna, do everything you can ever dream of. The problem with that, fundamentally, is that Square's not tied into all your other systems. It doesn't work with your accounting system. It doesn't work with your shipping system. It doesn't work with anything else you have. So who cares? So what? We have this cool thing that you can't use. So we realized, let's build a middleware. And a middleware is something that sits in between Miva Merchant and your credit card processor and gives you the benefits of these tools without having to sacrifice what you currently have. So the way it'll work in practice is on your payment page, there will be a little iframe. It'll look exactly like it does today. And what happens is, in between, MivaPay as a standalone application will be fully PCI certified. It will tokenize the cards for you, so the card never touches your store. You will not have access to this card at all, but you won't need it. You'll have access to a token, and that token will give you personally the same powers as having that card, but it's completely meaningless to a hacker. In addition, it lets you use your current gateway, if you want, so that your back-end systems aren't interrupted. So if you've got everything tied in via Chase Payment Tech using StoneEdge, you can plug MivaPay on top and nothing changes. At the end of the day, what still ends up in Miva is an authorization code That downloads into something like StoneEdge. You can hit capture from StoneEdge. You're off and running. Nothing changes. The other great thing is this then allows you to fill out an SAQ-A. So how many of you have had to deal with an SAQ-C or D? Do you even know what an SAQ is? Okay. So most of you don't, and I'm glad for that. But one of these days, your credit card processor will show up, and they'll say, oh, here's a 40-page questionnaire I'd like you to fill out. And the reason for that is because when you have a full-featured hosting environment, they want to know everything from the type of firewall you have, to the type of backup servers you use, to what your patch management system is, stuff that David Hubbard and Rich talk to me about, and I get lost. And so the last thing you want to be doing is thinking about that. So an SAQ-A is a simple 10-question form that, as long as you say no to everything, you pass. That's the cheat sheet. What it does is it takes Miva Merchant itself, the application, out of scope. What that means is we don't have to limit the flexibility of Miva Merchant at all while giving you all of the payment security you require. And if you follow this at all, if you're a payment security geek at all, you'll notice there's sort of two modalities out there. There's the open source distributed software modality, which has really had a rough year when it comes to this. There's been hack after hack after hack. I mean, I think Magento's had 9 security-related updates in the last year. WooCommerce had a significant security hack. There's just been one after another, and what happens is it's not them. They're not doing anything wrong. It's impossible to give that level of flexibility in the source code and then also make it secure. So what is the alternative to that? Well, the alternative tends to be just lock everything down. You can do it this way, no other way, but then that doesn't always work for your business. And so this middleware will solve for that and allows us to leave you with fully flexible hosting, leave you with full access to PHP, your database, WordPress, etc., while still providing the security you need. It will be required to enable subscription management if you want to go down that path. And then in phase 2, which we expect before the end of the year, we will have a point-of-sale app so that you can download an app to your iOS device and point-of-sale. Now, the thing about that is, yeah, sure, that exists today. You can go get PayPal here, you can go download Square, there's a bunch of them. Those don't tie into your current store. Those don't know what your current product catalog is, they don't know your inventory. This will allow you to tie it directly to your Miva store, look something up, know if it's in stock, or even if you happen to have it on you and you know it's in stock, you hand it to someone and it will deduct it from your inventory and keep your systems in sync, ultimately allowing you to sell anywhere. So that's coming later this year. For those of you, though, who need something like that sooner, we have a web-based version that we're introducing today called Miva Point of Sale. And the only difference between the web-based version and the Miva Pay version is the web-based version does not have a card reader. You have to type it into your tablet. But for those of you who need to be at a trade show, need to be at a farmer's market, you need it all tied into your inventory system, we actually have this live today. You can look things right up from your catalog. You essentially have a super optimized version of your store in a very fast and efficient point-of-sale system designed to work on an iPad or Android tablet that lets you get through checkout quickly. So what's coming after that? What are we up to? At the end of the day, Miva has 2 core objectives when it comes to what we're doing from a design philosophy. First, we want to help you sell more. So that's everything from adding marketplaces to adding personalization, adding analytics, more discounting, facets search. If it's a tool designed to help you sell more, we're interested in building it into the core software. The other part of it, though, is, okay, I just sold 100 things, how do I get them out the door? So the other part we focus on is operating more efficiently. What are tools we can do? What are things we can do to help you get more boxes out the door quicker? And so those are our 2 guiding principles for what we're adding in Miva Merchant. Now, last year was a record year as far as releases go. I think we had 5 major releases in 2015. We're not slowing down feature development at all, but we are going to slow down release cycles a little bit this year. We expect 2 features this year, versions 9.6, which should ship in June, And then 9.7, which will be focused on two primary things, search and order fulfillment, and those things will ship in Q4. There's a detailed roadmap session tomorrow afternoon at 4 p.m. where if you've been to those before, a lot of it's Q&A with me and John Birchmore and David Hubbard and Brennan. But we'll be going in more depth to what's coming in the later versions. Once 9.7 is complete, wrong way. Once 9.7 is complete, our plan is to take a breath for a few seconds and then start working on version 10, which we expect to ship next year. And so version 10 at a high level is going to have a full content management system. So there's no more need to run a separate CMS like a WordPress. WordPress is a great product. It just wasn't designed to run e-commerce stores. And then you should never have it anywhere near a credit card number for sure. But ultimately, you shouldn't need two CMSs, you need one. We expect not just a point of sale app, but a full-featured iOS app for everything from customer relationship management, order fulfillment, catalog management, taking photos, checking inventory in, and ultimately multi-site management. So you can manage many, many sites from one admin. So that's where Miva's headed as a product. I'm going to talk about a few things that are unique to this conference and some of our sponsors here. How many of you spend a lot of money every year on postage? I'm surprised not everyone's raising their hand on this one. So we've worked with Indicia and Parcel Partners to get special rates, and Parcel Partners booth is back there, right next to the IMA sign. Joe, you want to stand up for a second? So Joe's the gentleman in the white shirt standing up back there. What I can tell you is this: the more I learn about how the Postal Service prices things, the less I know. So I'm not going to try to explain this. What I can tell you is we can save you up to 40% on your Postal Service priority rates. It'll work with the built-in Indicia module. It'll work with your Indicia account. And so if you have questions, Joe and both Wing from Indicia are here, and they can help. And so I encourage you, if you want to save money on postage and you're not currently doing that, to talk to Joe and Wing. Second, MivaCon Regional Series. We're going to continue that this year. So we haven't set a date or location yet, but we'll be doing an East Coast. It's funny how we all think. I said just stick a Miva logo on the East Coast, and they picked New York. I wonder what they're trying to tell me. I think we'll probably go farther south than that, but we'll see. But in September, early fall, we'll be doing a MivaCon Regional. Details will be coming in the next 30 days on that. Next on the list is, how many of you guys are enjoying the show? We're not even through my keynote. So the reason I say that is this: 80% of the cost of the show is paid for by these booths around the side of the room. It costs us, but it's all done with swag and food and drink, about $200 a head to have you here. And we like to really invite as many people as we can. And a lot of you paid less than $200 to be here. Some of you paid more, which we're thankful for. But at the end of the day, this event could not happen without the sponsors. And so the reason we put them in this room and we put them around the outside, and the reason we do the cocktail parties either here or right around here, is mostly so you'll drink alcohol, lower your inhibitions, and talk to the sponsors. So do that. That's why they're here. If you don't do that, they won't keep paying for this. Last but not least, if you want to see the content, we've changed one other thing this year as far as the structure of the event goes. We used to repeat breakout sessions. So we used to say, okay, Google Analytics training for beginners will be today at 3 and tomorrow at 2. And we had two problems with that. One problem is it was really hard on the presenters. Presenters have to do the same thing twice, and that's challenging. But the second was it was really difficult to predict who would go to which session. You'd see the first session jam-packed and the second session empty. And ultimately, my staff convinced me that it was really efficient, and I pushed back. I said, no, we've always done it this way. I don't want to change it. And then they asked me a question I couldn't answer. They said, well, name one other conference that does this. I hate being proven wrong, so I said, okay, you guys are right. We'll do it this way. So if you want to see all of the content at this show and you can only go to 7 breakouts, the way to do it is to get the videos on demand. They're available on your TV, on your iPhone, on your iPad, anywhere and everywhere. And if you buy them here at the event, they include a free ticket for this event next year. Price is $149 if you buy them here. I believe there is an order form. This is the closest thing I'm going to get to a close today. There's an order form sitting right in front of you. And so fill this out and take it to the sales booth. But it is absolutely the best content available in e-commerce today. That is always our goal. And with that said, let's make this the best conference yet. Thank you all very much.